And I wanted to go over, and let me move this over. So let me get rid of this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I want to pull this. And of course, the bottom TV is not on. One of these days, they're going to fix these TVs. I want to go, say again?
The top one's off.
The top one's not on?
I mean, it's black.
No, they'd be on if they were, there we go. Same thing with my son's got we turned the dining room into a game room because it was worthless as a dining room. But anyway, and he's got a TV in there, and every time I turn on my TV in the den, his comes on. All right, so I wanted to show you one thing right quick. Remember I told you I gave you the 2 sets of homework, and I told you that 80% or 60% of your test would come from those 2 sets? Well, go to your outline. If you got your outline, I want you to go to it. If not, just write down what I'm fixing to tell you. Okay, here we go. We're on Unit 3, and I've covered, and I'm going to highlight because that way you won't say you didn't know. I'm going to highlight. I told you that 80% or 70% of your test is going to come from 6.3, which that's what I call rewrites, and then logarithmic equation 6.5, right? Okay, so I'm gonna, and we've already covered, inverse functions, we've covered exponential functions, which I told you would be just graphing, drill for your calculator, how to use your calculator, how to graph an inverse, how to algebraically do an inverse. But you're only talking about 2 to 4 questions on the test. Logarithmic functions, that's graphing also, how to graph a logarithmic function. And we're going to go over that just a little bit today. But I just wanted to remind you that if you can handle 6.3 and 6.5, you'll probably do all right on the test, because I'm not going to be in depth, because in your calculus, if you can graph on your calculator, you can graph on your calculator in calculus. So the graphing sections I'm not worried about. All I'm worried about is that you can algebraically rewrite and you can algebraically solve logarithmic and exponentials. And we did that. Remember, we did the exponential, and what I'm telling you is, you remember doing the 32 to the 2x is equal to 2 to the x plus 3. And what did I tell you to do with the exponential? Try to get it in terms of what? The same what? Base. Okay, so that would be 2 to the 5th raised to the 2x is equal to 2 to the x plus 3. And if the bases are the same, what can you do with the exponents? Okay, so that's 10 to 20% log, graphing, graph 2 to the x, graph log of 2x or log of 2x. This right here is going to be, your 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. Applications we'll probably get into Wednesday, okay? So we're going to get into the applications, and I can tell you what these are. These are going to be your accounting questions, your interest questions, your half-life questions, your increasing and decreasing functions, and they're going to be word problems. So we'll get into that 6.6. One more announcement. You want good news now, don't you? Y'all already know how to do this pretty much. Well, you know how to do the first section, 7.1. Okay? Solving systems of what? Equations. Graphing, find the intersection point. 2, elimination. 3, substitution. Y'all remember doing those in high school? Okay, so you will already be able to start on 7.1. Now, you may have never heard of determinants, matrices, and partial fractions, but guess what? As partial fractions is going to show up in calc. So we're going to have to make sure I cover at least 7.1 and 7.8. Okay? So that's what the rest of the semester looks like. We already talked about the final exam. We've already talked about what's going on that last week. We've talked about due dates. We've talked about what's going to be up on what test is going to be up the last day. So if we run out of time, I can tell you right now that the last test will cover a minimum of those 2 sections right there. So it'll be your Unit 4 test. I don't know why it says Unit 2. It's supposed to be Unit 4 because that's the last that's on there, isn't it? Why does it say Unit 3? Huh. It should say Unit 4. Oh, on the bottom. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at it wrong. Okay, everybody good? Anybody got any questions on anything so far? I know we've got some homework questions. Let's go ahead and look at those. And if I get to 6.3, that's good. If I don't, not a big deal because we've got time. Remind also, next week, do we have class next week? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we don't have class. So mark that down for some of y'all that don't print out or read your academic calendar that I gave you the first week of class. Well, I hate for y'all to show up, next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, show up and walk in the empty parking lot and just walk in and ask the security guard, where is everybody? Pendleton. Okay. Any questions? So, I'm going to move down. Of course, all y'all getting absences, y'all gonna fail and drop out of school. I thought I had some questions. There we go. Looks like we got a couple of questions in 6.3. I think we've already covered these, but we'll go ahead and look at them. 6.3, number 38. 6.3, number 38. Number of species and samples approximated SN equals natural log of 1 plus N over A. Didn't we do this one? I think we did. Where N is the number of individuals in the sample. A is a constant that indicates the diversity of species in the community. A is equal to 0.37. So what is this? Plug and what? Plug and chug, isn't it? Looks like it. So I'll do the first one for you. S of N is equal to A. What is A? 0.37. And then natural log, which is also log base 10. So you could write this as log base E, either way, of 1 plus, what's N? They're giving you N as 500 over what? 0.37. So what is this after you plug and chug? What is this?
Pre-algebra.
Yeah, pretty much. And you do it on what? Unless you're Rain Man, you do it on the calculator. So go ahead and type that in the calculator and see what you get. I'll pull up the handy dandy calculator and we will do it together. So 500 divided by 0.37, and that's plus 1, and that's going to be in parentheses, so we need to take the natural log of that. So natural log of inverse answer, close parentheses, do it again, 500 divided by 0.37 equals plus 1 equals, now let me try it again. Second, or natural log, second answer. Why is it doing answer plus, okay. It's not liking that. So we'll just, it's pulling up the whole answer. It's not doing the natural log. So natural log, what is that? 1352.35. 1352.35. That it? What was that?
A yawn?
You all right?
Yeah, I'm just tired.
Just want to make sure. It sounded like something was dying. Oh, Coney, you good up there? All I got is a wall. There you go. All right, natural log is that, and then multiply that by what?
0.37.
0.37. And the answer is 2.67. Now, that may be a little bit off because I rounded the 13.52 to 0.35. You don't want to do that, but I was just showing you how to plug and chug. Make sure you write down the whole answer or store it. Let's store it. Show you how to store, just in case you didn't write it down that day. 500 divided by 0.37 equals plus 1. Everybody got that? Stove, you know where you get bread? Alpha, and then we'll call it A. Everybody good? Now, natural log, clear, natural log, alpha A, close parentheses, and multiply by 0.37. Now, I don't know what we got the first time, but it's not going to be the same. Is it about the same, or is it close, or what?
It's the same.
It's a little bit different. So, still 2.67, but I don't know what do they round to. Let's look and see what they round to. Round to the nearest whole number, so that'd be 3. Okay? And the next one, what do you plug in? You plug 600. In 600. And the next one you plug in 450. And the next one you plug in 30. So this is a calculator drill. Is this a test question? It could be a test question in the 20%. But it's not going to be a test question in the 70 to 80%. Y'all know what the question is. It's going to be a rewrite or a logarithmic equation. But this could be one of the 20%. Remember, I pulled my questions. So those 4 questions that are going to be from these, it could be pulling from 40 questions. So, you might get this one. So, anyway, does that help you? Capiche? Okay, you're not going to talk to me? Thank you. Appreciate the interaction. All right, what's next? That was number 38. That's number 24. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay, remember I told you for the formula for the pH solution, blah, blah, blah. You need to write this down right here because this is how you do this thing. Write that down. pH is equal to negative log. I'm sorry, we already have a class. You can't come in. Hey. I don't know why that thing does that. I do it on purpose. I lock my students out.
There are instructors that actually do that.
We got one in that, but that's not what these people, they want to teach you to research university, they need to teach you to research university. Shut up. All right, so here we go. pH is equal to negative log of, can we just say X? Yes, you can say X. Why? Because we don't know what H3O is. Now, if you're a chemistry major, that's what? I have no earthly idea. It's hydrogen oxide something. All right, so find the hydronium. So we're solving for what? X. Given, what's this given right here mean? That this is equal to what? So if that's equal to pH, what are we going to do with that 3.6? No. 3.6 is equal to the negative log of x. Log of x is equal to negative 3.6. Oh my gosh, what are we going to use?
Definition of a logarithm.
Good job. You're gifted and talented. Definition of logarithm. Okay, finish it. And what is the base on this if nothing's there? Good job. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Y is equal to log base A of x. What does that yield?
Y equals X.
Good job. Plug in what? So what's A? 10, Hubert. What's Y? Negative 3.6, Hubert. And X is X. Now, what do we have when we have a negative exponent? What do we do? Flip it. This is over 1, so we're going to flip it. 1 over 10 to the 3.6, and y'all can do that on the calculator. That's your answer. Is this a test question? Yes. But it's not going to be an 80%, 70% test question. It's going to be a 20% test question.
Yay.
Any question? What did you come up with? 1 over 0.36. Let's type it in. It says use scientific notation. Of course, y'all going to get it wrong because y'all don't know it, do you? What is it? What'd you get? Point what? It's going to be very, very, very small. Why? Because you're dividing by a BA number. What?
0.00025.
Times 10 to the what? Or
No, that is.
okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2.5 times 10 to the 4th. If this is the number that you got.
Negative.
Yeah. Is this the number that you got?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to type in 3 because I don't want to type all that stuff in. So
I think 3 is.
we always type in 3 or 4. So you type in H, okay. We're just checking to see if it's right. So it's a miracle. And you feel good about yourself, right, Pendleton?
Yes, sir.
I ain't seen any. There's no 6.5 questions on here. There's 6.4. Okay, here we go. 6.5, test question. Let me see. Is it a test question? This is number 11 on your homework, 6.5. Yeah, it's a test question. It says solve the logarithmic equation. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it as log base what? Log base E. And that's just the way I do it. Log base E of 5x is equal to 6.3. Do we have log on both sides?
No.
So we can use what? Definition of a logarithm. Y equal to log base A of x yields A to the Y is equal to X. Do it. If you can't do it, what does that mean? No.
Give up online?
Yeah, give up. Go ahead and drop. You can do it online because you're a disappointment. Right, Oconee?
Definitely.
There you go. Where's your cohorts, Pendleton?
There's no telling.
In a ditch?
Probably.
All right, what we got? Well, all you got to do is draw lines What is A?
E.
E to the what? Is equal to.
5x.
So what are we going to do to get x by itself? So your answer is e to the 6.3.
It's a 5, not a 2.
I don't know how I did that. Okay. See, that's why you're going to fail the class. Okay, so
No person.
let's go with e. So that's going to be, where is it? I can't see it. Is it on the natural log? Second e to the 6.3 equals divided by 5. 108.91. What does it say to round to? 108.91. Doesn't say round. .91. One, I don't like it because it says solution set, because we didn't take the square root of anything. And the other, why does it not say anything about rounding? We did that. Let's see if they want some different form.
Oh, they want it literally.
Well, it would say exact form.
Okay.
It says exact answer. Take the
Oh.
exact.
Oh, they don't want you to calculate it. Okay, well, okay, would this be a challenge question on a test? Yes, and I would give you credit for it because I don't understand why you wouldn't calculate it. That don't make any sense. So I would take both answers on the test. Okay? That is a test question. I don't agree with the answer. I think if you're this far in 6.5, do you know how to use your calculator? Yes. So I don't understand why they didn't calculate it. I knew something was wrong when I saw the directions. All right, next one. I was hoping we get into a complicated one. This is number 2. All right. What's significant about this one?
Very small.
You have log on both sides. What does that mean? You can't do what? Definition of a logarithm. See, that's why you're wearing that Georgia hat, because you're smart. Georgia held on. They held on. But I believe Auburn would have overtook them if they had another quarter. I don't think Georgia's going to beat, and I'm a Georgia fan, I don't think they're going to beat LSU.
Nope.
LSU played Westside this weekend, didn't they? Who'd they play? Ole Miss, yeah. Ole Miss was trying to show out on them there for a little bit.
Old Miss scored like 40-something on them.
I know. But that's a rivalry. That's what rivalry, well, you know what I'm saying. That's what they do. They hype you up. Except in the case of Clemson and South Carolina, I don't think South Carolina's going to beat anybody with the coaching staff they got. I
That's
don't
also
think they
true.
could make a ham sandwich. All right, so we can't use the definition of logarithm. So does anybody see something we can use? So that means you got to fall to the properties of logarithms, which is rewrites. Is there anything we can do? Maybe, I don't know. We could use the power rule, but I'm looking to see, we do have the same bases, don't we? We have the same bases. Anybody we could bring that 2 out. Let's just play this, because we've got a different animal right here. So I'm going to just bring this 2 out. I'm going to bring this 2 out here, and we're going to get 2 log base 2 of x is equal to log base 2 of x raised to the second power?
I divided both sides by log 2 of x.
Yeah, and that would cancel out the what?
So, yeah, then it equals 2 is equal to the log 2 of x.
Good job. Well, that's what I was going to. Can I be in charge for a while? All right. Log base 2 of x to the first power. And what is this? That takes that out to a what? And now you're cooking with peanut what?
Oil.
Oil is equal to log base 2 of x. Now what do we have?
A number.
Yes. No, not a number. We have definition of what? Definition of log. Y is equal to log base A of x. Draw your arrows. Errors. And you get what? A to the y is equal to x. What's A? 2 to the second is equal to, hold on, I'll do that for you, 4. So,
I got stuck at that part right there.
say again?
I said I got stuck at that part right there. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, 2 to the second. You might want to use your calculator for that. That's why we got people who can't make change and can't spell race car backwards. All right, so 4, I would say delta. What do y'all think?
Yes.
And we feel good about ourselves.
C.
Uh-oh.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
We did a thing
Let's
wrong.
do 1 and 4.
Well, it would have to be 1 and 4, but I don't know how they get log of 1 where we didn't get that. All right, we did something wrong.
Look at the question help thing and see what it says.
They
How they got one?
no, they don't have one.
Oh.
That's very convenient, isn't it? Okay, I don't know how they're getting 1. The only thing I can come up with, what is 1 squared?
1.
So does it matter whether you have 1, does it matter whether you have 1 in this spot or 1 in this spot? That's the only thing I can come up with. Because what's the log of 1? And what's the log of 1 squared? It's going to be the same. So that's the only thing I can come up with. You can't use 0 because you can't take the log of what? 0. Go back to your property. What is the log of base anything of 1? 0. So or the log base 1, what is log base? Yeah, you're going to get 0 is equal to 0. And that's the only thing I can tell you, that in this case, the 1, do you find it with algebra? No. Do you know it by the property that was given to you in the beginning? Yes. Log base 1 is equal to 0. So if you take 1 squared and you take 0 squared, what is log of 1? And what is 0 squared? 0. So that's where they're coming up with the log of 1. Y'all remember the 3 properties that I gave y'all? Log of 1 is equal to 0. Log base A of A, or a number, to A is equal, or log base A of A to X is equal to X. Y'all remember those 3 properties I gave y'all at the beginning of 6.3? That's where that comes from. So you need to make a note on this one. 1 is assumed from the 3 properties. And there are 3 properties. When you look at your notes, you'll see which ones I'm talking about. And then algebraically, you solve for the 4. So you need to make a note of this one in your notebook. Okay? I didn't even catch it. So That's why I wanted you to make a note of it, because if I didn't catch it, then it's going to be hard for you to catch it. Next, 6.5, I can't see it. 6.5, number 3. What was that one? 6.5, number what? 2? Oh, I'm doing your homework for you. Okay, I'm just doing each one. Okay. This is Miss Liddy. This is Oconee. All right. Here we have log of log 3 of x is equal to 1. Log base 3 of log 3 of x. Well, we don't have the log of both sides, so what can we might use here? We might could use the definition of a logarithm. Try it. Log base 3 of log of base 3 of x is equal to 1. Log base a of x is equal to y. And that gives us y is equal to a to the y is equal to what? X. So a is what? 3 to the what? 1 is equal to log base 3 of x. Somebody put 3 to the 1 in your calculator, please. Log base 3 of x. Use the definition of a logarithm again. And that's going to give us what?
1.
A is what? 3 to the what? 3 to the third, right? 3 to the third is equal to what? X. And 3 to the third, be careful here, do not say 9. It's what?
27.
27. Now let's go back and check to make sure there's no other properties. No, there's no other properties, so you're not going to have a double answer like the last one. So it should be A. Those 3 good questions. Make sure you make that note of. Now, is it a negative? What was it? What if it was a negative 27? What would we need to do? Check it. Go back. Can we take the log of a negative?
No.
So the equation would blow up, so the answer would be no solution. Always check the answer. Okay? So 27 is going to be this one. And I thought I heard. There we go. And we feel good about ourselves. All right. Those are 3 good questions. I'm going to erase those because we've already covered those. And I don't know which ones I covered in 6.3. But we still got time. I want to get on 6.4. Let's get on 6.4. And of course, since it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we only have 15 minutes of class. So how much is left? Yeah. Well, whoever did these Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. Yep. Okay, I think we've already started on this. I'm not sure. But we remember one-to-one, how to change it into an inverse. You switch with y and x and you solve for y. We did that in 6.1 and 6.2. We did that. Logarithmic equation, that's just some inverse. That's how you, okay, f composed of f. Not going to go over those. Okay, graph each logarithm. Okay, here's a question. Graph it. So how would you graph a log base 2 when the calculator can't do log base 2? Use change what?
Base.
Change base formula. So instead of we're not going to graph this. We're going to change it. F of x is equal to log of x over the log of 2, or the natural log of x over the natural log of 2. And that is what you're going to graph. And of course, that is a test question, one of the 20%, because I want you to be able to graph that function. So you would graph this. Now, there are some calculators, that will put you to bed, feed you, and will also do the log base 2 if you type in log base 2. But I really don't want you to use that because I want you to be able to think. So I want you to turn it into this. Capiche? And that's what it looks like. Now the inverse to that would be 2 to the x, and that's what you need to look at. Now, why do they have the tables? What did I tell you the tables were? Old school. And if you wanted to use that, that's fine. You would have to use x to the 2x, but we don't do that anymore. And I'm not going to make you do a lot of stuff that we don't do anymore. So that's pretty much it there. We're lucky to even do any graphing, period. So there's the black one right here is your graph. And y is equal to 2 to the x. They're inverses of each other. So you might go to your parent graphs. And remember your parent graphs, turn to that notebook page that I gave you a while back. And make sure you make a note that f of x equal 2 to the x is the inverse of what? Log base 2 of x. And you could actually do that. Y is equal to log base 2 of what? X. And switch what? Switch x and y. And now do the definition of what? Logarithm, and you got to be careful because now x and y are switched. So what would you do? There's a to the what? 2 to the y. What's y? X is equal to, and that is the inverse function. So, and of course you know to do that algebraically. This you should be able to do. That's 6.1 or 6.2 I showed you how to do. Okay? So make sure you can graph that one and make sure you can algorithmically generate the inverse. Comprende? What happened? What is it? That? It's the damn Russians is what it is. And what beside the Russians is what? Ukraine. Yep, the Ukrainians too. Okay, I don't know why it did that, but I'm going to move it back over. Just hold on, Pendleton and Oconee. I'm making y'all big so we can see y'all. For some reason it went on it. There. Okay, I don't know why it did that. Okay, graph each logarithm. Okay, right quick, go ahead and graph this one. Or we can do, go ahead and do the algebraic inverse. So I'm going to let you graph it on the calculator. I mean, we could do it on the calculator, but we only got like 2 minutes left in this Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. So y is equal to log base 1/2 of what? Now what? Switch. X is equal to log base 1/2 of what? A to the y is equal to y. So that's your inverse function. So let's take our handy dandy calculator. Well, let's just do it with circles. And of course, that goes crazy when I did that. So I don't know what's going on. I think what's happening is part of this screen is over here, and whenever I touch something over here, it affects this screen. So I need to move it over right there, then pull this over. And then this screen, the top screen, won't touch that screen. But now I can't. Did y'all see what it just did? It's a conspiracy.
What did I do?
What? Are you Russian or Ukrainian?
Are you talking to me?
He's not going to say anything. He's top secret. He's a Russian asset is what he is. All right, so I'm gonna take my handy dandy calculator and let's graph. So I'm gonna go y is equal to, let's do the inverse function. We'll do that in dotted line. No noises, please. And that's going to be 1/2 to the x, so parentheses, 0.5 to the x power. All right, there's my inverse function. And now my real function is going to be log of x over log of what? 1/2, Hubert. So parentheses, log of x, close parentheses, no, divided by log of 0.5. Log of 0.5, close parentheses, enter, or graph. There's one, and there's the other. So now you can draw it. Of course, you can't draw it now, but actually we can. Hold on. Got to escape, keep, minimize, move this over. Things I do for y'all. Move that over. Hit from current slot. Okay, we'll just have to leave it there. Okay, where are we? Right here? Where were we? Is this it? Where is our, was it this one? Okay. All right, so you see the function. I'm not going to draw it because there it is right there. And of course, you see that the domain of your function that they're asking for is from 0 to what? Infinity. And what's your range? Looks like range is going to be all real numbers because it keeps on going up and it keeps on going down. So now why did they put the inverse in there? And it wouldn't hurt you to maybe have a card, an index card for some of these inverse functions so you don't have to go through and solve it each time. And these two are good inverse functions to put on cards. Maybe divide the card in two and put y is equal to 1/2 x, and then put the inverse on the right hand side, 1/2 to the x power, and then you can basically start seeing, you know, what the inverse is. It'd be just 1/2 to the x power. You know, you could just start seeing it. Capiche? And of course, they're showing you those two right there. So let's get back. Of course, we only got, what, 30 seconds left? Yeah, of course. All right, find the domain of each function. So here, these two questions are calculator questions. You would put it in change base formula. So this just says find the domain, and the best way to find the domain, set the denominator equal to 0. You could do that because you can't take the log of a what? Of a negative number. So you could do that, or you could graph it. So x minus 1 is equal to 0. And here, you can't take the log of a negative number here. So x equal to 0. So x is going to have to be greater than what? 0. So there's your domain there. Here, x is not equal to 1, meaning that if you plug in 1, you're going to get 0, which doesn't work. So x has got to be greater than what? 1. So there's your domain there. Or you could graph log of x minus 1, log of x minus 1 over the log of what? 2. You could graph that on your calculator and find the domain and range. They're not asking for the range, they're just asking for the domain. Here, you got to be careful because that 1 is not connected to this x. So this is what you got to work with the change base. So that's going to be log of x over the log of what? Minus what? And you graph that to visually see the domain and range. Okay? So set the denominator equal to 0 or graph it. Do I care on the test? No. Is this a 20% question? Yes. And that's what they're doing. They're setting it equal, and they're not doing it. I don't know if they're going to graph it or not. Nope. Remember, the absolute value can be a little bit tricky because, well, you can take the absolute value, but you cannot. So that's going to be greater than what? 1? Greater than or equal to 1. And then set this one equal to 0. You're going to have 2, but you can't take the square root of a negative. So you got to be careful here. So x squared minus 4 is going to be positive or negative 2. Positive or negative 2. So your domain is going to, and let's see what happens. What time is it? Because I don't want y'all to go into convulsions. Okay, I got 2 minutes. Got 4 minutes, but we'll go to 2. All right, so let's check it. What happens if you plug in negative 3? What's negative 3 squared? I'm sorry, what? 9 minus 4, positive or negative? So negative 3 and everything is what? Good, right? Now plug in 0. What do you get? So that sucks. You can't take the square root. You can't take the log of what? Of a negative. What's 3 squared?
9.
So what's our domain?
It could not equal 0.
Negative. What's this area here called? What's this area here called? Okay, so from negative infinity to what? Inclusive? Yes. So that would be a bracket and a parenthesis. And then inclusive of 2. And then what? To infinity. So there's your domain there. Why not? Why didn't I do all that here? Because you didn't have a quadratic. That's a quadratic. This is absolute. Absolute vodka, absolute value. Both start with a what? A V. So you know that this is going to be distance. So you can't take the log of what? 0. So that means it's got to be from what? 1 to what? Infinity. Now, could you do negative 1? Yes. You can plug in negative 1. What are you going to get?
1.
So negative 1 to what? Negative infinity. So the only number you can't use is what? 0. You feel good about yourself? Okay, now what should you be working on? Let's go over what you should be working on, because I'm going to get out of this, because I want to make sure everybody understands I'm doing this a little bit different than my other sections. I want everybody to be working on 6.3, 6.5, rewrite, and solvent equations. That's the 4 homeworks that's going to make up what percent? 70 to 80%. The rest of the sections, 6.1, 6.2, 6.4, that's the one we went over today. And what did we do? 6.6?
Yeah, we did.
What about 6.7?
I don't know.
Somebody look on your outline right quick.
It's not on the,
What?
I don't think it's on the MyLab Plus.
It's not on there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to cut it off at 6.6. 20%. So what should everybody be focusing on? They should be focusing on those first 4. Okay? We're probably going to, does it go to 6.7 or 6.6? Anybody look?
I think it's 6.6.
Okay, we'll go over 6.6, which is word problems. We'll do that Wednesday. And then what does that mean? Test is coming up Friday, so I will go over a pre-test in class, and then y'all will have the weekend, and the first part of the week we'll go over questions, and then after the break we'll start that 7.1 and get a lot of that done the first day. So y'all already know 7.1. Anyway, get out of here. Have a good day. See y'all Wednesday.
Are you going to set the homework due Friday?
No, probably Monday.
Okay.
I always
Thank you.
give y'all one homework day. I always give y'all one day to ask questions in class.
Okay. Thank you.
So we'll probably go over the test and go over questions Friday and Monday.